First time cracking with Molly.
Well, Gavin, I think we're just about set to get underway here this evening with our qualifying round. Remember, this is the qualifying division. Top 10 will come back for the finals tomorrow night and the big cash and prize money. Winner takes all in this competition. Our first contestant we welcome in tonight is Rick and Sophie Baramaki's nomination, Highbrow Heaven CD. Lockie Sim is one of our riders, joins us from Holbrook. Followed by Mark Buttsworth with Peps Double Ray and Dean Rogers, Darley Sweet Chili. Well, folks, they get one opportunity. It is all about bringing that cow to the front of the camp, impressing our two judges here this evening, Mr. John Mulcahy, and with him tonight, Mr. Ben McNaughton. Add the two scores together, we will have the grand champions and top 10 qualifiers. So bear that in mind. And, folks, if you like what you see, don't be afraid to make a little noise. Encourage these guys. It's all about making as much racket as we can. Boy, right on the gate, right on the paint. Let's give it. Oh. Well, probably not the start that Lockie would have liked in this competition. Highbrow Heaven CD. Little horse that he rides in this competition.
Well, Glenn, I think you're right. Lucky Sam with Highbrow Heaven CD. I don't think it was the start that he was looking for, but he got a 15 points. He got 15 points there for his cutout. He did, but I don't think that was the start that we were looking for. But like you mentioned there, Glenn, those points are right up the front of the camp. And spectators, get behind your competitors. You're watching in the camp now, none other than competitor number 2, Mr. Mark Buttsworth with Peps Double Ray.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to go with Mark Buttsworth's own personal nomination. And now, knowing Butsy like I do, he owns this horse. The pressure's going to be on from the time he selects that beast. The little horse is called Peps Double Ray. Mark has travelled down here from Kingaroy, one of Australia's greatest and most successful horsemen. Versatile in every sport, whether it be camp drafting, cutting. And boy, oh boy, he's about to give it all. Come on, folks, let's put our hands together for Mark Buttsworth. Peps Double Ray, second contestant in this round of competition.
Well, I'll tell you what there, Glenn, that is well, what we were looking at there. Competitor number 2, Mark Buttsworth with Peps Double Ray, scoring a 22-point cutout. 22 points there for Double Ray with Mark Buttsworth.
Well, we move to our next contestant. This will be Dean Rogers. Now, Lee Rogers is the nominated owner. Darley Sweet Chili. Come on, folks, let's cheer him on. Solid as. Wait for the numbers from my co-host up there, Mr. Gavin Beard.
Well, I'll tell you what, Morgs, I wouldn't like to be the judges down there this evening, but Dean Rogers with Darley Sweet Chili scoring a 22.5 cutout. 22.5.
Well, we move on down to number 4 in the competition. Now, this is one of our junior competitors. He's from Hallsville on the north side of Tamworth. Riding good friends of mine, Paul and Kim Carlin's horse, one of the all-time great camp drafting horses called Heatwave. Now, Heatwave is 19 years of age. He's a little older than the rider that's on his back here this afternoon. Harry Hagan will be the competitor. And what a great combination we have here. One of Australia's great campaigning horses. Heatwave in action.
And sometimes it just ain't fair if they will not look out the front there, Glenn.
Well, just a little tough here in the cutout for our contestant, Harry Hagan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for young Harry Hagan. Quite an experience here this evening for a young man competing at Australia's biggest camp drafting competition, and certainly Heatwave gave it all. We will move on to our next competitor. At number 5 in the draw, this will be Kenny L. Beechers, riding overtime, her nomination from MAFRA. Now, this will be the first of our female entrants in this competition. There is several others as we go through the door. And remember, these competitors, we are looking here tonight for the top 10 qualifiers to go back for the big cash here on tomorrow evening in the final of this event. And, of course, you need to be in the top 10 to progress through to the next division. Don't forget, tomorrow morning we will come back at 8:30 for the Ladies Dash for Cash, first round of that particular event. So we'll see all the young ladies back in bed early tonight, of course, for a bright and early start in that Ladies Dash for Cash first round competition. And just bringing everyone up to a date with our qualifiers for the Western Ringers Gold Buckle Championship competition, 166 points and above progress through to the semi-final, and that is tomorrow afternoon, so bear that in mind. 166 and above will qualify you through to the semi-final round of our Ringers Western Wear Gold Buckle Camp Drafting competition here tomorrow. Well, that's a good run for our first female competitor, Kenny L. Beechers, with overtime. And one of our competitors that join us from MAFRA here this weekend.
Yeah, Glenn, nice run there. Kenny L. Beechers with overtime, scoring a 21.5 point cutout. 21.5, and as you've been mentioning there, Glenn, what they have to do, they have to be in the top
we move
10.
on down to our next competitor in this round of the competition at contestant number 6 in the draw. This is Collins and Payton's nomination. Philip Collins in the saddle. Yavern More Ice. Join us from Bombala, one of our local competitors from this region. Boy, we're getting plenty of hometown support for the Bombala contestant.
Not exactly sure that was in the plan, Glenn.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Collins and Payton nomination from Bombala. Yavern More Ice and Philip Collins in action.
Scoring a 16 points. 16 points there for Phil Collins, Yavern More Ice.
Well, there's a little pressure on this next man because he's had a great deal to do with our competition here at Willinga Park. He's one of the stars from the Willinga Pastoral Company, looks after a lot of the livestock and cattle throughout the eastern states of Australia. And we welcome down from Wandoan, Andrew Turvey. Andrew Turvey's nomination here in this event at number 7 is Cats and Roses. Certainly known the Turvey family, both Andrew and John, for many, many years. Come from Wandoan, spent a lot of time in the rodeo world in their younger days, but certainly nowadays it's all about the sport of camp drafting. Well, I tell you what, Terry Snow will be watching closely with this guy because one of Terry's favourite workers when it comes to the competition. Well, let's put our hands together for him, folks. That was Andrew Turvey. Little horse called Cats and Roses, and he's down here this weekend from Wandoan.
And Andrew Turvey with Cats and Roses scoring a 21-point cutout. 21 points there. And Glenn, I tell you what, David Thorne and Sort of Smooth, you talk about those combinations. You give us a little bit of an introduction into Mr. Thorne.
Well, I tell you what, Gavin, a little bit of history with this guy. He's another man that knows how to ride in the hard country. He would certainly be one of the favourites to put some pressure on here tonight. He's riding Tracy and Kirk Nicholson's horse. This is a little horse called Sorta Smooth. David Thorne and his family these days make their home at Wallenbean. Has been here a finalist in the Cutout Championship. He's also been a finalist on numerous occasions in the Ringers Western Wear Gold Buckle Campdrafting Championship. One of Australia's unique and tough horsemen, comes from a great family, born into the sport of camp drafting, into about their third, fourth generation, the Thorne family. Well, we're out here tonight. It was indeed our contestant David Thorne with Sorta Smooth. Horse that is nominated here for this event tonight by Tracy and Kirk Nicholson. Okay, here's another one of our pretty young ladies at number 9 in the draw from Bombala. Bombala is well represented. This is the Chamberlain family nomination. In the saddle tonight, we have Montana Chamberlain riding Smart Spinnin' Acres. Smart Spinnin' Aces. Followed on number 10 is Troy Palmer, 11 is Burnett Lucas, and number 12 will be Dean Rogers.
The previous competitor, David Thorne, and Sorta Smooth nomination, scoring a 16 points there, 16 points for the cutout.
Well, a little disappointing in this round. We'll put that down to the experience gain here on Thursday night here at the Willinga Park. Qualifying round of our Cutout Championship, Montana Chamberlain with Smart Spinnin' Aces. Well, we'll certainly see her back tomorrow morning, of course, in the Ladies Dash for Cash in the first round of that ladies competition. Well, as we've got to just clear the camp for our next competitor. Well, we'll welcome in at number 10 in the competition. We're nearly a third of the way around in this first qualifying round. And this is a representative from the Willinga Park team. This is Who's Divine. Ridden here tonight by Troy Palmer, representing the township of Coolah. Troy has also been instrumental in the operations here of this event for many, many years. Helped Terry Snow and his team over the last 5 or 6 years with the design, development, and the progress of this world-class camp drafting arena and facility. Not only for camp drafting, but it's a facility for show jumping, dressage. It's got a great world-class veterinary facility also attached.
You'll know the difference.
Getting set to go with our next contestant, Troy Palmer. We want Bernadette Lucas and Dean Rogers to be ready, please. Well, Troy Palmer, he has selected his beast. Remember, we want the top 10 back for the final. Oh, yeah. Come on, folks. Let's put our hands together for Troy Palmer. That was Willinga Park's representative in this event. Of course, Terry Snow would be right on top of that. That was Who's Divine, Troy Palmer. We'll wait for the scores to come through from my good friend Gavin up there in Broadcast Arena.
And Troy Palmer and Who's Divine scoring a 23, which takes him right up to the lead at this point in time there, Glenn. 23 points was his cutout. And like we mentioned, some of these very, very good jockeys, they don't leave much on the table. So 23 points for Troy Palmer, Who's Divine.
Well, we move on down the list to number 11 in this round of the competition. And we welcome down from Glen Innes. This is Bernadette Lucas. Erin Hendricks. Well, I saw Bernadette many years ago in the cutting horse world and industry, and she's progressed through to the camp drafting cutout world. Let's wish her well, another one of our female contestants. That was our contestant on camp on that occasion, Erin Hendricks, and the contestant was Bernadette Lucas from Glen Innes in northern New South Wales.
And Bernadette scoring a 15.5 points there, 15.5 for her cutout.
Well, we move on down to number 12 in our competition, this time from Bega, south coast of New South Wales. Dean Rogers nomination, Eva and Con. And that was our Bombala contestant on that occasion. I should say Bega contestant, Dean Rogers with Even Con.
So Dean scoring a 17 points there. 17 points, and I tell you what there, Glenn, at this point in time, it's pretty level pegging there. The cows are certainly putting it back at them here this evening down those sides of the yards.
Well, as we see the names come forward down here, Gavin, here's another one of the stars of the camp drafting world, Australia-wide. Pete Comiskey, representing Jeremy Storio with Knipes Ransom. Pete joins us from Nebo each and every year. And, of course, he'll be looking through to qualify here on Friday night. Pete Comiskey it was on Knipes Ransom.
And Pete scoring a 22.5 points. 22.5 points, and at this stage, that looks very much up there in those qualifying numbers.
Well, Gavin, you can see some of these wiser competitors that have been around for quite a few years. The guys like Troy Palmer, Pete Comiskey, Mark Buttsworth, all looking just to get through. They're not like overcook it or overcamp it. They need to be in that top 10 for the finals tomorrow night. That is when we start from scratch. And you can see that some of these wiser competitors are really staying solid in the competition. Okay, let's go to Campbell Boileau from Goulburn this time. It's his nomination, Riding Savannah. Well, we've got him out. We're on track, and that is one of our local representatives in Campbell Boileau.
Scoring 14 points there. 14 points for Savannah and Campbell Boileau.
Well, we're down at number 15 coming up from Kingaroy. Don Williams' nomination. Hey, this is a little turbulence. Mark Buttsworth in the saddle, and as his name applies, he can get a little turbulent. We've seen him here in the finals of the cutout previously. He's finaled in some of the biggest camp drafting events around Australasia. A familiar face, a familiar name, and of course they will be looking to qualify in this round of the competition. Now, they've got one beast that they do need to address here that may have a sore eye or where it may be. But our judge, Ben McNaughton, has spotted it. He is making certain that it's fair for each and every one of our competitors. So we will try to identify this beast before we go with our next contender in Mark Buttsworth. Well, we're not only going to replace one, we're going to put some fresh cattle in there. Well, we are at the halfway mark, and you can't get any fairer than that, folks. It, of course, it was announced and directed at the halfway mark we would have a fresh pen of cattle in. So Mark Buttsworth right on the halfway mark at 15 in the competition. Got a total of 28 competitors. So at after 14, that was Campbell Boileau. We decided that we'd put a fresh pen of cattle in, halfway mark, and start with a fresh camp. Looking down the list, Mark Buttsworth will be followed by Lockie Sim. Hugh Miles comes back, and so does Scott Bandy with Smart Con. So quite a few big names yet to go in this particular competition. Well, Gavin, who's our leader at this point of time? Keep us up to date with who is leading the competition.
Well, sitting right up there with the Willinga Park nomination is Who's Divine with Troy Palmer. Sitting up there with 23 points. And Pete Comiskey sitting very, very close on the tail there with 22.5 points with Knipes, a Ransom. And I tell you what, if we flick back there earlier, Dean Rogers is also sitting up there with 22.5 with Dali, a Sweet Chili. So they're the guys that are leading the pack at this stage. But like you mentioned there, a couple of these old heads have sat there and said, you know what, we just got to get it up the front there. And we're going to get a few points just to make sure we can come back tomorrow night, because there's $10,000 up for grabs here, Glenn. And they're not going to overcook it tonight for the sake of an extra point.
Okay, Mark Buttsworth, he's locked on. We're set to go with a little turbulence down here at the camp. Let's see if he can be better than 23.5 points in this event. Well, come on, ladies and gentlemen. Australia's best horseman in action here this afternoon. That was number 15 in the draw. That was Don Williams' nomination. And that's a little turbulence, and I'm quite confident we'll see him back in the final shootout of our cutout competition here tomorrow evening.
100% correct there. Mark Buttsworth with a little turbulence taking the lead now with 23.5 cutout. 23.5 for a little turbulence with Mark Buttsworth aboard.
Well, let's move down a little further. We're going to go to Holbrook with Lockie and Beck Sim nomination. Lockie's in the saddle tonight. This is No More Rain at number 16 in the competition. Now we've got a score of 23.5 points to better as we progress forward here tonight. Well, it is time to come a-riding. Hey, come on, folks. Put your hands together for the young man, Lockie Sim from Holbrook. Well, the creamy's starting to rise to the top in this particular competition. You can start to see the scores unfolding. We'll have one through for shortly for Lockie Sim on No More Rain.
So No More Rain scoring a 22-point cutout there with Lockie Sim, 22 points. And like you mentioned there before, Glenn, they get a clean slate tomorrow, so tonight's score won't matter tomorrow night, but they do have to make that top 10. They do have to make the top 10 tonight to get that second round, but they do get a clean slate tomorrow night to get a clean slate at that $10,000 cash grab.
Well, we're back on track. We move on to number 17. Number 17 in the competition. We move on down to the man from the country music city of Tamworth. This is Hugh Miles's personal nomination in Smooth Talker. Well, at 17, he knows what it's like to be 23.5 points. He's got a couple more rides to go in this competition yet. He's looking to stay solid. Need about 21 or better to make through to the top of this event at this point of time. Well, it's once again one of Australia's best in saddle. On that occasion, he's been a former winner of this event. Smooth Talker. Hugh Miles from Tamworth makes the journey down. And, of course, his scores will be a reflection of the performance here tonight.
And there will be a 22.5 points for Smooth Talker and Hugh Miles. And once again, Glenn, as you mentioned there all evening, what a privilege to sit over the top and watch some of Australia's finest horses and finest jockeys, all competing for a dash for cash for $10,000 here in a cutout. So a very big thank you to the team at Willinga Park and Terry Snow and all the family for putting on not only the whole program, but this particular event. So thank you very much. And you're watching number 18, Mr. Scott Bandy, and that'll be another name that you'll see at the front of the yard.
Well, Gavin, here's a guy that I do like to watch, Scott Bandy from Tooma. The nomination by Scott and his lovely wife, Tanya Bandy. Smart con, and one thing about Scott is he knows what it takes to win these big events. He knows what it's like to put a little pressure on at the gate. And knowing that he's got some good men ahead of him, he won't be riding for second. He'll be riding to take it right to him here in the finals tomorrow night. Scott Bandy in the saddle. Well, just having a night that he'd rather not be a part of at this point of time, unfortunately, for Smart Con and Scott Bandy's nomination.
Well, Smart Con and Scott Bandy scoring 16 points. And I tell you what, when we were speaking about this particular horse here a little bit earlier, I'll let you do the introduction, but I tell you what, you want to watch a horse here that loves to play with the cattle. Here's one in front of you in just a moment.
Yeah, well, that's right. We've seen this little horse over the last 2 days, haven't we, Gavin? This is a horse called Stylish Candy, and the rider in the saddle nominates herself from Mafra. This is Kenny L. Beechers. And the horse, Stylish Candy, little Palomino horse, likes to lock on. It's certainly got an eye for a cow. And if it can perform as expectations as it did early through the week, it could well be one of our finalists here on tomorrow night. Let's watch this young lady in action. Let's wish her well and hope that she gets it on. Oh yeah! Come on, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we came to see. Man, oh man, I said it, I called it, I said she was good and she didn't let me down. That was Stylish Candy, and the young lady in the saddle was Kenny L. Beechers.
And rewarded accordingly with a 24-point cutout. 24 points there for Kenny L. Beechers and Stylish Candy.
Well, we've got one of the young ladies right at the top of the pack. Let's go to our next contestant from down in the Riverina country of Wagga Wagga. This is Andrew Sheridan's nomination, Shero's Traditional Acres. Be followed in the event by Lucas Roberts with Ali and Cameron Webster with Bob not that far off.
And Glenn, this will be another one, Shero here with Shero's Traditional Acres. He does not leave much in the tank, and he will be riding for the $10,000, so he'll need to buy himself a place in the place. So he'll bring the cow right up the front of the yard. I don't reckon this will be the last we see of Sharrow either. He usually brings back a state origin team, and if I'm not corrected, I reckon he's taken a bit of that money home before in the state of origin event here later on this weekend.
Well, that'll be disappointing for Andrew here tonight. We'll put that down to experience, and hope we bounce back out of it tomorrow morning. Okay, let's go to our next competitor. This is Lucas Roberts' nomination, number 21 in our draw, riding Alley. Well, we've got a camp score in the event to beat, 24. Stylish Candy sits at the top of the competition at this point of time. Okay, we're set to get it underway. Let's go, 21. We're off and running. Lucas Roberts it is, riding his little horse called Alley.
Once again, I don't think that was a part of the plan, but we got a 16.5 for the cutout, Lucas.
Well, we're going to move down a little further. We're going to go to number 22 in our competition. This time we welcome into the arena will be Cameron and Sarah Webster's nomination. This is Bob. We're down to the final, I guess, about 8 contestants in this round of the competition. Top 10 scores back for tomorrow night's big round cash payout. Winner will take all of the prize money. There'll be only one winner tomorrow night with a high score. And, of course, that will be the eventual champion. Well, we're watching Cameron Webster in action on Bob on that occasion. Got the job done. He was at the gate and, boy, never gave round whatsoever.
It's another one of those nice scores, 23 points for Bob and Cameron Webster. 23 there, Cameron.
We've got 2 fresh cattle into the camp once again. We're going to go to Bega on the south coast down here for our next competitor. This will be Dean Rogers' nomination. Do be lucky. Well, let's hope he can be lucky here tonight and get through to the next round of competition. Well, he stays solid. There's no doubt about that. Dean Rogers it was. Do be lucky from Bega. We'll wait from confirmation from the officials here tonight.
Do be lucky, scoring a 21.5. 21.5 for the all cutout there, Dean.
Move down a little further in the competition. From Adaminamy, this will be David Cochrane's nomination at number 24 in the draw. This will be Frozen Acres. Well, the bloodlines of the Acres Destiny breed still lives on here in our sport of camp drafting, and more so in the cutout event. Acres Destiny stood at stud for many years up there at Tamarang, Richard Bull's place, and that progeny have been leaders in the equine and camp drafting world for many, many years. This is one of those, Frozen Acres. David Cochrane, number 24. Followed by Troy Palmer. That indeed was David Cochran from Adamedemy with Frozen Acres. 25 into the camp. We will have a couple of fresh cows into the camp for our next competitor.
So David Cochran scoring us 15 points. And I tell you what, Glenn, you talk about rider and horse combination for cutouts. I don't know, I think you were at Sydney Show there a few times, and this particular combination might have won the cutouts there a couple of years running. But a lot of fun being had between this particular mare and this jockey.
We'll move on down to our next contestant, number 25 in the competition. This is Troy and Fiona Palmer's nomination from Coolah in the Central West. At number 25, this is Blue Tunes. Be followed in this event by 26, John Templeton. Sweet Tally Cat to follow on at the conclusion of Troy Palmer. Still at the top in this event, out in the lead, 24 points. Kenny Ellie Beaches. Well, once again, getting it on right there in front of our two judges. John McKay, and with him is Ben McNaughton as the officials adjudicating the competition here tonight. That was Troy Palmer, Troy and Fiona's nomination from Coolah.
That'll be another 23-point cutout for Blue Tunes with Troy.
Well, we're going to go to number 26 in the competition as we bring you our next contestant from Kingaroy. This time it'll be John Templeton's nomination, Sweet Talic Cat. 26. And that was John Templeton, Sweet Tally Cat. Nice, solid performance. Looking to get back for the top 10 here tomorrow evening. Remember, that is the main aim of tonight's competition. That qualifying division started with 28 competitors. We come back to 10 after this round tonight. And, of course, that is the big day of competition tomorrow as far as our cutout championship event is concerned. 27 in the draw tonight is from Manila on the north side of Tamworth. This is Woodrow Dow. Horse that he is riding, nominated by himself, is Razor 49er. Razor 49er will be our second last horse in the qualifying round.
That last competitor, John Templeton, with Sweet Italic Cat, scoring a 22-point cutout, so 22 points. So as mentioned there before, Glenn, you are got to get back into the top 10. And I tell you what, that goalpost has just changed just in the last little moment. So you still need a very good score to make that top 10.
Well, it's a little disappointing. Things got a little tough here in the camp for Razor 49 for Woodrow Dow in this round of our competition. We hope and look forward to a little more luck tomorrow in our semi-final competition. That was Woodrow Dow with Razor 49er. Okay, let's come down to the last one, number 28, for all you people that have stayed up late tonight to watch this competition. Our eyes are glued to Peter Schumack. Peter and Jacinta Schumack's nomination. Join us from the Country Music City up there in Tamworth, a horse that we've seen a lot of in recent years with some major wins in all the big camp draftings throughout southeast Queensland and New South Wales. Number 28, Time's Up. Hugh Miles in the saddle, as they have been for several years now. Horse that was imported to Australia several years ago, or quite a few years ago, had his time in the cutting pen. Now, of course, has really found a home in the camp drafting world, and have certainly the breeding barn playing a big part in their progeny that are being used throughout the eastern states of Australia. Hugh Miles, Time's Up, number 28 in the draw, and we've got a leading score of 24 points thus far. Well, he covers the cows, folks. You've seen it here. First up at Willinga. Of course, Time's Up. Huey Miles, one of our veteran camp draft riders that is very, very smart when it comes to qualifying in this event. It was all about getting it done here tonight, staying safe, staying solid, and he'll be back. Put a little more pressure on tomorrow evening in our competition. Gavin, you might be able to give us the update leaders and progressive qualifiers of the top 10 of our Cutout Championship.
And I'll tell you what, Glenn, you called it earlier. You said you want to sit down and you want to wait to the last competitor. You watched the last competitor, and he just got equal top points with a 24-point cutout for Time's Up. So we are going to, we have been told and instructed up here that the office, if you got a 22 points and better, 22 points will qualify you to go back in to round number 2. Hugh Miles, Time's Up with 24 points. Kenny L. Beach is with a Stylish Candy with a 24 points. Mark Buttsworth, a Little Turbulence with a 23.5. Cameron Webster and Bob scoring a 23. Troy Palmer, Who's Divine with a 23 points. Troy Palmer's Blue Tune scoring 23. Dean Rogers, Dallas Sweet Chili with a 22.5. Hugh Miles, a Smooth Talker with a 22.5. Pete Comiskey, Canipes, a Ransom with 22.5. John Templeton with Sweet Talic Cat with 22. Lucky Sim with No More Rain scoring 22 points. And Mark Buttsworth with Pep's Double Ray with a further 22 points. So they are your finalists for tomorrow evening. You want to come and watch some of those? You be here tomorrow evening to watch the final of that. That will be a dash for cash. Winner take all, a $10,000 prize pool. So they are your 10 finalists and 22 points or better. Just being corrected up here at the office, there was actually 12. We had to take the 12, given the fact that we had a few on all equal scores. So there'll be 12 competitors tomorrow evening in that cutout final at Dash for Cash. $10,000 check up for grabs. So come and get a seat there tomorrow evening and rewatch.